Hi, everyone. My name is Chris Neary, and I am Cinnaire's Vice President for Policy Research and Advocacy. And today I'm going to talk a little bit about what that work is and what my role is now, but also more generally about careers in politics, government, and public policy. As you may have heard already about Cinnaire, we are an organization that funds, develops, and advocates for affordable housing and community facilities throughout our footprint, which is the Midwest and the Mid-Atlantic states. And we are driven by our guiding principle, which is that we have an unwavering belief that all people deserve the benefits provided by living in a healthy community. And so over the past almost 3 decades now, our organization has raised more than $4.7 billion from banks and other organizations and invested that money in affordable housing and safe, decent, affordable housing and community facilities for the people and communities that need it most. I know you're seeing a lot of videos these days, but I am really excited to talk with you about what I do at Cinnaire and kind of how I got here, especially for those of you who are interested in politics and working in government. I was certainly interested from a young age in politics and government, and I always found it helpful hearing from folks who worked in politics and government, how they got where they were. And so I'll start with, like I said, when I was young, I really wanted to work in government and politics. I was brought up in a very civically engaged family. We went to the polls regularly when I was young. So it was always kind of ingrained in how I viewed the world. And I really wanted to work in government because I thought it was a great place to work and make a difference. And I was fortunate to get that opportunity early on in my career, and actually even dating back to high school. I knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to be the staff member behind the member of Congress. If you ever watch C-SPAN, it's the people behind the scenes that are doing a lot of the work. I always wanted to do that, and I was lucky enough that I got that opportunity working in Washington. This is me behind a member of my old boss at a hearing in Washington. That was great experience, and it was a great place to work. I worked there for almost a decade. Um, and I say that as background because what I do now at Cinnaire is directly the result of the experience that I was able to get working in government. And Cinnaire is like a lot of companies that care deeply about public policy, and that is really what drives the core of what I do at Cinnaire. So at Cinnaire, we need partnerships with governments to achieve our mission. We use programs that are designed to help fill gaps, bring and drive investment into communities that are underserved by the mainstream financial sector. And so a big priority for us is to build support for those programs, right? So we need to make sure that those programs are working well and effective, have a lot of buy-in and support from governments, especially legislatures, including the US Congress. So we work to communicate their impact. We work to weigh in on any changes to the programs that we utilize that might affect the work that we do, or could harm or benefit the communities that we're trying to serve. And so what I do is I manage and advance our public policy agenda at Cinnaire. And that's really the policies that are really important to Cinnaire, the work that we do and the communities that we serve. We also work to address the impact of any potential changes on our work and the communities we serve, and critically to maintain relationships with members of Congress in particular. So most of the members of the US Congress, the programs that we use for the most part are federal programs. So they're run at the federal level. And at the end of the day, Congress is responsible for funding those programs and making any changes. So, unfortunately, members of Congress have a lot on their plates. If you think about how crazy the world is right now, all of those issues are coming across their desk. And so affordable housing and community development policies, which are very important, may not always be top of mind for them. And so it's important for us to maintain relationships with them so they know the good work that we do, and that we can communicate the impact and the importance of those programs. And when you think about public policy and government, that kind of work might not be what you're thinking about. You're probably thinking about more so directly working for a government, working for a legislature, for a mayor, for a governor, things of that nature. But as I said earlier, more and more, nonprofits, private organizations are seeing the value and really the necessity in government engagement for helping to achieve the mission of the organization. And having government experience is really helpful for that. There's really no substitute. And in terms of my role, that government experience helps me advocate for policies that are going to help us achieve our mission. And that leads me to my first bit of advice, which is to really be open to different paths. Right out of college, I wanted to work on Capitol Hill. I didn't get a job right away on Capitol Hill. I found a job at a government relations firm in Washington doing administrative work. I was scheduling, answering phones, making copies, things of that nature. But that was my foot in the door. And I was able to, once I was done with my administrative work, I noticed other things that needed to be done, which things that were kind of more interesting. So I started offering to, write memos, do research, and just started doing the work. And that helped me get promoted and build a little bit of a track record, which helped me get my first job on Capitol Hill. So be open to whatever paths come to you and make the most of them. As I said, experience is really essential. There's no substitute for experience. You can get that at any level, state, local, federal. Once you start working in government, it's not always about where you work, but what you do with it. And you'll notice that in government, there's no shortage of work that needs to be done. So if you're eager and willing to step up to the plate and make a difference and do the work, you can make the most out of that experience. And that's really, really valuable. When you're in college, I think it's really important to take classes, not just in political science. Policy issues span everything from economics to sociology to science and everywhere in between. And you're going to learn stuff in political science classes that are important and helpful for you to understanding how government works. But probably even more important than any one thing you'll learn in political science classes is how to think critically and analytically, how to write and communicate effectively, especially really complex issues, and how to work with people. And those are the most valuable skills in government. You can start developing those skills in a variety of different majors, from English to communications to science. It's not necessarily about what you major in, but kind of how you learn and how you learn to learn. And then finally, it's really essential to start as soon as possible reading good, well-sourced journalism. It's important to work with facts and stay up to date with what's going on in the world. That's really important context for you to be able to start building that understanding of different stakeholders and what different people want and what's going on. It's helpful to have an awareness and a context for what's going on in the world. So I'll just conclude by saying, we really need smart, hardworking people in government at all levels of government now more than ever. It might seem kind of daunting or crazy to work in government these days, but it is really important work. I'd encourage you, if you're interested, to go for it. Start looking around for opportunities. I've found it to be really rewarding work, and there are a lot of different paths out there for you to make a difference, like I'm doing at Cinnaire, in a role that I didn't really think about when I was probably your age, thinking about working in government. So that's my background and what I do at Cinnaire. Feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions. But thank you for your time, and I wish you all the best of luck.